Okay, hello and welcome to another episode of MoloMolo group session coaching. I'm Dr. Polan Kantoe. It is incredible to know that we are now doing a second session here. We had our first session, which went quite well, where we were able to address some of the pain points. If you haven't seen that video yet, I'll put a link on the description of this video. But essentially, we were trying to assess a specific pain point regarding interviews and how can graduates really go about just changing their mindset on how they can really fulfill their full potential. So we are on session number 2, and we have a special guest today because we've decided to kind of up our game and bring the A team, which is Enrique. Enrique is an amazing engineer. Funny enough, how this worked is we asked a poll, or we made a poll on the WhatsApp community, and we gave different profiles. Enrique, so just for you to understand how popular you are, we get different profiles and different experts. We say this one is a industry expert on strategy for 35 years, and another one is I think there was a e-commerce guru for 20 years, and then there was a high achieving aerospace engineer for 8 year plus, and they wanted to see the high achieving aerospace engineer, which they didn't know will be Enrique tonight. So welcome, Enrique, to MoloMolo. This is your first appearance, right? So welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. It's a great pleasure to be here.
Yeah, man. For those who don't know, Enrique and I, we work in the same firm called Lilium. Again, some of you might have seen some of my videos regarding kind of Lilium and my take on it. If you haven't seen it, I'll put a link on up here and also in the description, just to get a gauge of some of the, I would say, interesting times that Enrique and I we are facing at this point. But at the same time, it is, like I said in the video, it is an opportunity for just kind of having a fresh outlook and really just kind of figure out what is best for oneself going forward. And if it still aligns with the company, then people will find us still working for Lilium. So, Enrique, I just thought maybe we take a few minutes to kind of you introduce yourself, where you come from, how you got to Germany, and then we can take it from there.
Sure. Yeah. So Enrique Maldonado, also Quique for friends and family. Um, I'm a Colombian engineer. I was born in Barranquilla, very close to the Caribbean Sea. And I also, since the very beginning of my life, I remember having a big interest in tech and in arts too. And also kind of exploring the world. So this is why I also decided to leave my hometown Barranquilla and to go to university and get prepared and get a degree in electronic engineering in Bogota, the Colombia's capital. And then from there, the journey kept going. From there, I decided to go to France, to Toulouse, La Ville Rose, where I went
Amazing.
to do my master's in electrical engineering and automation, and I specialize mainly in automation. And this is how I moved from electronics. I was more about circuits and things like that, and processing, signal processing. But I ended up doing an internship for Airbus, a very known aircraft manufacturer. And I was working there to build the autopilot. So because I was specializing in control and automation, I went there to design the autopilot for the A350, and then I moved into other, let's say, more cutting edge projects in how to integrate other type of sensors and,
Mm-hmm.
let's say, make possible an aircraft without a pilot, so completely
Wow.
and fully automated aircraft. And then from there, the journey kept going, and I wanted to also move to a new city, a new country, learn a new language. And this is when I decided to join the Lilium adventure a year and a half ago. And well, also a very good a very good decision, I think. This is how we came across, right, Polan?
Yeah, yeah.
And then, yeah, coming here, and I would say with a main objective, which was to be always in the innovation side of things and
Hmm.
trying to create an impact, a positive impact in the world and in my field.
Nice, Enrique. I mean, it is. It's very. I mean, we've spoken many times just about kind of your mindset on life in general, and I must say it is a pleasure to kind of have met you through Lilium, and just knowing that you are definitely someone who has amazing potential, and that's why we want to pick your brain tonight, because I do believe that the community that is currently following MoloMolo has a thirst for just understanding how they can unblock a few things, as a thirst for understanding how they can kind of, maneuver through this maze of, school, and then eventually graduation, and then the world just opens up and you're thinking, man, now what? Like, who am I? What am I? Where am I going? How can I move forward? How can I not get stuck? Should I study? Should I study management? Should I study further? So there's a lot of questions which I think over the next few sessions we will tackle. But tonight we've got a couple of questions that were sent through by students. So thank you again for those who have sent kind of your questions, and we will try our best. Some of the questions have been answered in some way last session, but it will be very interesting to see and to hear Enrique's view on some of these questions. And of course, if you do have more questions and you want to reach out specifically to the community, there will be a link description below if you want to kind of join the community and then join the discussion that are happening there. And of course, Enrique is part of the community, which is really exciting, where he will be making himself available whenever he has time to essentially just assist. So essentially, it's not just me, okay? So it's not just me, thank goodness. We have power hitters, you know, Colombian, French power hitters who are definitely will be adding weight, and this is quite important. So, by the way, Enrique, I just want to tell you, I think we will go through some of the questions, but I do have one specific question which I think will make a bit of a theme essentially for this entire session, and it's a juicy one because
All right.
I'm not gonna tell you what it is. I'm gonna ask you, and then we're gonna go through it, me and you together. So,
All right. Bring
but
it
but
on.
I'll leave it that for last. And if you're interested, stick till the end, and I want to hear Enrique's take on this one. I really I'm very interested. But okay, so let's start with the first question, and I do think it's something that I answered it in a way, but I do believe that Enrique will be kind of very well gauged in giving us some input here. Okay, so it's regarding kind of interview prep, right? There was a specific student who said, just recently I had an interview and it was a disaster. My mind was shut. I couldn't properly answer questions. I was nervous. The interview had answers which I would have said or could have said, and now the recruiters are not responding to my mails. How can I land a job in a specific area that I want to work, for instance, and in a specific job? Yet, I want specific opportunities. I don't want to be able to apply it. I want to be able to apply to particular jobs and not necessarily be generic in my application. And this is incredibly, incredible. I can relate to this. But Enrique, I just wanted to kind of get your kind of, if I were to reframe how this person is questioned, what is your take regarding kind of preparing your mind so that you are, kind of not nervous and essentially, walking away with regrets after the interview? What's your take on this?
Yeah, definitely interview prep, and the moment of the interview, it's a moment with a lot of pressure, right?
Mm-hmm.
Especially when you really want that job. And I would say this is completely normal, and I connect this to something that I said just before. I love tech, but I also love art,
Mm-hmm.
and you can see some of the posters. It's like
Nice.
from my music group, and we've done
Yes, Enrique is
presentations.
a musician, guys. So in case you want to be on MoloMolo and ask him about music, you can also do that.
And yeah, I mean, whenever you go on stage, right, or
Mm-hmm.
whenever you have an interview, and I link it to this, you have this feeling of maybe you feel anxious or you feel a bit of fear, and this is also something that we could turn into an opportunity, and something we could use instead of against us. It could be helping us, right?
Mm-hmm.
Comparing it to the entertainment world or the interview prep world is something that is very different from each person. And from this person, what I get is that, yeah, there was a little bit of pressure there. Mind was shot. The thinking was not clear. This could happen. We'll have, right, this anxiety, or we could get nervous. The important thing is to know how to cope with it, how to deal, and how to give a show when it's about music,
Mm-hmm.
or to get to the goal, which is showing that you have the technical and soft skills to fulfill that position.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it goes a lot through confidence, self-confidence, and how confident I am about myself, but also about the process that I've followed to get to that point, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not the same when I know I prepare things before. I ask myself, okay, what should I know for this interview about the company, about the recruiter? What could be the possible questions that they will put me through, right? And then this preparation, all this process, not about only the time when you're already in front of the recruiter, online or not, but it's all the process before, and how confident I'm getting through every action that I do before. So to resume on my take here would be to use that feeling in your favor,
Mm-hmm.
because we would all feel it. It would be almost impossible to say I'm super relaxed, right?
Mm-hmm.
And also to get to the level where we feel confident about the prep we've done before.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, we have a lot of tools now, right? And with AI being the
Yeah.
big boom, I think there are many ways to use that to get us prepared to that moment.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe before the ChatGPT era was a little bit more difficult, or we had to sit down and think about it a bit more. But now, knowing the tools that we have, it's easy to say, hey, this is the position, this is the CV, help me get prepared for the interview.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, I mean, I also want to take your kind of pick your brain on. I mean, how does someone process, according to you, how does someone process the the fact that you've gone through, I don't know, 5, 6, 10, 15, sometimes interviews, and you think it went well, but yet it is crickets. There is no comebacks. There is zero, and I've seen it happen. I don't think it's ever happened to me, to be honest, where I think after a certain stage it's very difficult, right? I mean, you're already so how can I say, acute in your field that, yeah, I mean, out of courtesy the guy will say, yeah, Ish, my man, just it's okay, nothing happened, sorry, it didn't work out. But I think I do remember sort of kind of in my early years going through something like this, right, where you are literally kind of, poking. How do you deal with that? What are some of the thought process in your mind? I don't know if it ever happened with you, or do you know someone who has? But what would you think are some of the thought process that someone like that who's going through it should really
Yeah, yeah. I
kind of
mean,
deal?
it has happened to me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whenever I was trying to find a job, whenever I got hired, it was not the only application I filed, right?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it happens. Especially I remember trying to get to very top companies in our field, and it's hard. I mean, there are tons of applicants every day going through those hiring processes, and I mean, sometimes we are just one more, and it could be hard, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I've had like negative answers, sometimes no answers, which is actually even, I would say, worse, right? Because of what you said, like, okay, what happened? If they say no, sometimes even some recruiters they take the time to explain why, and this is very powerful in terms of feedback. But sometimes it's just yeah, crickets. For me here, I think motivation is key, right? And this is the last thing we should lose.
Mm-hmm.
It's about the motivation of finding the right job and the impact that I want to create, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I like to call it more than a job. It's like, what do I want to achieve, right? What
Mm-hmm.
impact in the world do I want to make through my job? So this should remain unchanged. That motivation of creating that impact, if it's through company ABC or XYZ. Okay, I mean, sometimes we want it to be ABC, right? But
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it's not. It's CDF company. So it's about focusing on that motivation because that's what it's gonna give us the drive to be going, even we have positive answers. And I mean, we will get no answers or negative answers, and we have to keep going. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And but I mean, it's not keeping going just for the sake of keeping going, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
about reevaluating. Maybe I'm doing something wrong, maybe not completely wrong, but something that could be better in the way I approach recruiters, or on the way I approach technical questions in an interview, or how my CV is. All those things, yeah, we need to also put it in consideration. Like, if this is happening, why is it happening? And it's about not taking it personal also,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
It's not about only me, but how I'm presenting maybe myself, and to take the right decisions and make the right changes to get to a better rate of positive answers.
No, very good point. The last one, I think there needs to be some reflection, self-reflection. Essentially, that's what you mean, right? And I think presentation is so important. And I want to kind of bridge into technical communication because So just for all of you who are watching this, technical communication is, and I'll do a separate video on this, and we are working on this specific topic because it's so important to have the self confidence that Enrique is talking about, but within kind of tangible, results, right? You can have self confidence in you knowing how to make pudding, but it doesn't help you as an engineer. Like, it doesn't help you. So technical communication is so important, and it's something that we need to be very methodical about improving. So, in case you is something that you feel like you're lacking, again, there is a specific course that I've just started a couple of months ago, where we go through this process. Right? There's different tiers on this. There's a 3 months, and then there's also some different kind of interview prep courses on Fiverr. So important to kind of take stock of where you at. Right? We all wish we had very good handle of technical matters and communicating them in an effective way that helps the next person feel like, oh, okay, I can trust what this person is saying. But sometimes we're not there, and and it's okay to take stock and say I need help. So these types of coaching sessions are there to really for us to guide you at different levels, whether undergrad, graduate, different levels, to get to a certain point. I'll put the link on the description of this video just for you to get a feel for what that is about. You can go through a self-assessment, kind of see where your areas are. Enrique went through that same assessment, which was really good feedback, I believe, for him too. So I do think it is something that will really help. But more importantly, the work needs to be done by you. And so this coaching program is all about that. Okay, so Enrique, I really wanted, yeah, just thank you so much for kind of giving that perspective, because I do think what you say is so powerful, right? We need to take stock, but also it's normal. I think that's essentially how I'm kind of summarizing what you're saying. So let's try and move forward with another specific question that I think really needs your trained mind. So it says along the rise of this, varsity experience has been a roller coaster, and I've been struggling with managing my time properly. What advice can you give for someone struggling with this? What would you say?
Wow, this is a very huge topic. I think you could do like make probably hundreds of videos
I know.
on time management, right? And
Yeah,
even if you're an expert, you still have so many things you could
correct.
discover about time management. What could I say? I mean, I would talk from my personal experience back in university and even now as a professional.
Mm-hmm.
My life is packed with activities, like not only at Lilium, but I also run an NGO in Colombia,
Mm-hmm.
my home country. I also find the time to play music, and it was almost kind of the same back in university, where I wanted to achieve so many things and I wanted to discover so many different things. And the only way to do that is to organize time, right? And manage it properly.
Mm-hmm.
There are tons of resources about how to manage time, and I think it's really important that it works for you. I would say this is the most important thing, to find a strategy. Is not, I mean, we have to consciously adopt a strategy, apply it, and evaluate if it's the right or not for me.
Mm-hmm.
Why do I say this? Because now online you can find tons of things saying like, yeah, you need to do time slot, or you need to, the 5 a.m. club, which is also a very nice book. But some people, maybe they don't like to wake up
Yeah,
at 5 a.m. They are maybe more productive at night. I don't know.
correct.
And so it's about finding the right strategy for you, and then
Mm-hmm.
the discipline to apply it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, if you really apply it, and then you see if it works or not for you, but you need discipline to actually create the right assessment, right? And say, okay, no, this really doesn't work for me for XYZ reasons, right? It could be because I have family, or it could be because I work during the night and I study during the day, something like
Mm-hmm.
that. Um, and then, yeah, go with the discipline to apply it. See if it doesn't work, then move to another one. And when you have one, then stick to it, and grab it with like all your forces. What I personally do for managing my time is blocking times to do things, like
Mm-hmm.
what they call time slot strategy, right? And this is very powerful. It works for me, and like that, I can manage to organize many different activities that
Mm-hmm.
I have during the week. And yeah, that's kind of like the point, to get days. We could say, for example, Tuesday at night, or after work, I'm gonna work in Minka, my
Yeah,
NGO, um,
yeah,
and then like that, defining times to do things.
yeah. Time blocking. I mean, funny enough, when I answered this question last week, I did mention time blocking, but I also gave a bit of a disclaimer, which potentially also applies to you as a young man. You know, the perception that you are busy, it's very relative. It's incredibly relative because I do remember me answering the same question on, man, how's your day going, when I was first year or second year or third year, and say, man, I'm so super busy and I'm running around. And when I now, as a 41-year-old man, look back at those answers of a 21, 22-year-old, smarty pants type guy, man, I look at this guy, I'm thinking, dude, you had no clue. You had no clue. You had no clue about what being busy is. Because when I look back, I also see that that guy procrastinated, sitting around the lawn, kind of watching Dragon Ball Z, like for hours. And not to say it's a bad thing, but you can also not turn around and say, I have no time. So I appreciate your answer. And the only thing I would add there is that there also needs to be, I guess, a realization that you need to sacrifice something to achieve certain things. Like there needs to be some sacrifice. And you need to recognize the game, the game of an engineer cannot be, especially an engineer who's, either fourth year or masters or whatever, is a game that does not allow you to just do whatever you want, and the time is limited. You only have 24 hours, and the game, which is a master's degree in engineering, requires you to just sacrifice a couple of things for at least for that time, right? So there also needs to be kind of that self waking up. You gotta wake up, like you gotta wake up. And I think
Definitely.
the time blocking helps, right? The time blocking helps because then all of a sudden you start realizing, this can't be done. Yes, it can. It's just that it means that that thing that you say it's mandatory, I'm not sure.
Yeah, definitely. I've personally I've been in that trap, right? That what you said, like, I'm busy, I'm busy, I'm busy, and like, and now it's more a habit with time. Like came with time, was not really like that at the very beginning, I would say, of my career, but
Mm-hmm.
to take a step back, like a third view person, like third view, and say like, whoa, are you really busy? Why are you busy? Okay, what you said, like, is this really mandatory? Do I
Yeah,
have to do this? And
yeah,
then you prioritize and say, okay, actually, it's fine. I can accommodate things, and I still have time to maybe do something fun. And talking about fun things, yeah, I mean, sometimes we want everything, right? And we want to have good grades, but also, I don't know, watch Dragon Ball Z or Netflix, right? And yeah, sometimes it comes with sacrifices. And to give you a very personal example, during summertime, right here in Munich, it gets very cold in Munich, but whenever the sun is here, we want to
amazing.
enjoy it
Yeah.
at the fullest. But we were in the middle of applying for a program with Minka,
Mm-hmm.
and I saw outside the window, and my friends were, like at the English Garden and
Yeah.
doing like picnic and enjoying summer. And sometimes, yeah, it goes through sacrifice. It's like, oh, guys, I cannot go. I need to work. I need to, and wow, this is what you say. It's a game and it's a gain, right?
Mm-hmm.
What you gain of not going to that picnic and staying home and working on Minka. For some people, you're just a crazy guy. Like,
Yeah.
man, it's summer, let's go.
Yeah.
And this is also like to pick up from what you said. It takes a lot of self-awareness to say, hey, I will sacrifice this
Mm-hmm.
in order to gain this
Yeah.
other thing.
Yeah. Now that's beautifully said in terms of kind of the gain that comes with it. Yeah, definitely that self awareness, but also kind of having a clear vision for yourself, right? I think that's also if you don't really know what you want, then you don't really have the motivation to kind of block the time for the things you need to do. Okay, so last question before we get into the hot topic, yeah.
Wow.
And this is really about, I mean, essentially, people ask that you come on board because they want to know a bit more about academics, and I do think this is. I mean, I said, I mean, I was not a good student. It's very surprising, Enrique, but it's true. I wasn't, or should I say, I don't naturally get things, I think. I mean, maybe now I do due to experience and so forth and kind of building specific habits. But I think it's weird for me to say this because I'm a PhD, kind of holder and I've published papers, and so maybe it's again the imposter syndrome that I'm always deal with. But at least for the early years, let me just put it like that. For at least for the early years of my engineering studies, I felt like I really was not kind of fitting the bill. I wasn't. I was even academically excluded. Right? The university said to me, my man, go. You are playing games. Just to give you context, I mean, for some of you who are watching, please don't do this. Please, I'm sharing this now, but please don't do this, okay? So, first year, I was at Wits. Some of you who are watching this are at Wits University in Johannesburg. Please stay in school. First year, man, I think I didn't go to more than 50% of my classes. I, dude, I was playing basketball all the time. And the thing is, Wits University had this. I think this basketball court should not have been there in the first place. Like this basketball court is so close to kind of a library and is so close to the classes that for a student and for a person who has no cooking clue about what they want and no self awareness will be completely distracted and thinking he can make it up through his wits, and funny enough, I passed, that first year. I mean, barely, but I passed. I thought I should do it again. Let me just carry on doing it again. I mean, maybe I'll probably put up pictures of me looking how I was looking like. I'll try and find out on Google Photos where are those pictures. I used to play basketball all the time. And then what happened? I mean, I had like dyed my hair like gold. Oh,
What?
dude, it was crazy. I was a crazy guy, and I used to wear like orange glasses, and they used to call me. I don't know what they used to call me ginger. Like they call me like the ginger man, the gingerbread man. I don't know. Um, yeah, yeah. I don't know how. And then of course exclusion happened, and then I had to catch a wake up. Caught a wake up. I had to write back to university, tell them why they should allow me back in. I took a year, a sabbatical, so I worked at my mother's shop for a whole year. They had a I don't know, like a little shop, grocery store shop. Man, that was in a way humbling, right? Here you are, aeronautical engineer, second year dropped out. You're thinking, is this it? Like, wow, okay, this is me, right? I'm a university dropout. And yeah, that year was, yeah, I took it seriously. I went to the internet cafe, started researching aerodynamics. I remember kind of the motivation to now kind of be more self-aware of what I need to go was kind of growing. And any case, the point here is kind of going through that and then getting back on track, and then from there onwards it wasn't easy, but at least kind of the awareness of what I wanted was now dead clear, or at least the awareness of what I didn't want, which sometimes is sometimes an even stronger motivator, right? You don't want this, like you don't want to go back here. So I guess that's where my question or this question comes in is for you when it comes to academics, what are some key things that someone can do or that you've done that has really helped you to stay at a really high level when it comes to just producing academic results? What would you say are some of those things?
Yeah. I think there's the first thing that comes to my mind is this eagerness to learn and
Mm-hmm.
to understand how things work. And it could be related or not to being an engineer, right? This could apply to other fields,
Mm-hmm.
but it's this something inside of you saying like, wow, I want to know how they make this,
Mm-hmm.
right? When you see, I don't know, like recent incredible things in tech, how these guys make land like a huge, almost like a building, right? In a very small clamp.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's
That's
wow,
SpaceX, right?
how,
Yeah,
yeah, with the SpaceX, right?
yeah.
And how do they do that? So it's like this curiosity, right? Like, okay, how does it work?
Mm-hmm.
How is it possible? And then I think this curiosity or this eagerness to learn is what brings you to the next level. And I wouldn't say the top level because, as you said, like the game here is not. I mean, it's, if it's even better if you're at the top 10 of the students in the class, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the game here is not really to be at that top 10 only, but to be at your top 10.
Mm-hmm.
So if you feel like, okay, I now interested in aerodynamics or electronics or mechanical engineering, then I go and I research and I read about it and I make that like mine. You know, that's my mission. That's what I want to achieve, and it should be fun, right? No one is forcing you. It's about this curiosity to learn. This
Mm-hmm.
is something that it was a common trademark of my academic life, and even now about staying up to date with the latest of your field, or learning how to do things, and then accepting challenges of, okay, now this could be a challenge for me to learn a bit more about this. I think this is the first thing comes to my head
Mm-hmm.
thinking about academics. And well, I mean, back in the time, it was with books and a little bit
Mm-hmm.
of internet, and we had to go to the library. Now we are in a world that wow, like everything is possible. Everything's online. There are papers, there are videos, tutorials. We have YouTube, we have ChatGPT, we have like even the very old books, right? That I remember at the very beginning of my career are now online somewhere. Um, it's not about lack of information. We have it there. So it's about organizing your thoughts and then going to find them in the right places.
Yeah, yeah. No, very, very good points. I think definitely what I'm hearing is just that inner drive, right? To want to learn, that inner drive to want to be your best, kind of your best. Again, that self confidence to say that I've done enough, and that's a different. Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there because self confidence and knowing when is it enough, when have I done enough. Everybody has their different levels, and unfortunately, sometimes your level is slightly lower or not good enough still, and you have to recalibrate. But yeah, it's very good points. Now, I'm gonna answer very quickly this question because I think it's in a way it needs to be unpacked in a different forum for me at least, because there is someone who asked regarding industry insights, the rise of AI. How can non-software or non-computer heavy engineers like mechanical engineers prepare and enhance themselves for not being replaced? Now, this is a very interesting question. So how I will answer this very simply without going too deep into it, because in terms of time, is one, if you're a mechanical engineer and you are non-software and non-computer, I think it's a problem. That's first of all. Second of all, engineering is a very peculiar field that it is applied science. So it's not science from a kind of proving a specific hypothesis that can be done by a computer. Applied science requires hands on deck. So it's very difficult to imagine a computer like ChatGPT right now or Boston Dynamics latest to kind of say now I can not only think but also do as an engineer, because engineers' biggest asset is engineering judgment, and that is incredibly difficult to replicate through right now, of course, through AI. So I mean, there's a lot to unpack here, but I do think just for the person who'll be watching this, in case you say, you didn't answer my question. For me, that's essentially kind of the broad stroke answer. One, you have no worry, provided that you use computers, you know how to use computers. And two, kind of the whole fraternity of engineering at its purest, it's very difficult to make it machine level like in its entirety. So you have nothing to worry about. There are other things to worry about than you being replaced as an engineer. So Enrique, I really want us to go into this question because I'm conscious of time. So this is the kind of the juicy question, and I want your opinion. So how do you know you are poorly managed by your line manager? And what are some steps that you can take to create a better working environment for yourself?
Wow. This is for a whole episode of MoloMolo.
Yes, Enrique, we've saved the best for last. How would you answer the first question? How do you know, Enrique, that you are the unfortunate bunch that you have a poor manager? Like, what are some key things for you that immediately stand out to say, you know what, I'm pretty sure it's not me?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I get it. I get it. I mean, this is when I think there's a big difference between a manager, a coach, and a leader.
Mm-hmm.
And these like three hats are very different. And because you have a head of in front of your job title doesn't mean you have those three hats. As I see it, it's very important that it's more like having more than a manager, having a coach, having someone who is there not only to tell you what you need to do, right? To do your job, but also someone who in explicit ways, like conscious ways, helps you thrive and excel and go to the next step.
Mm-hmm.
Even if sometimes could be, for example, outside of the organization
Mm-hmm.
you're in. And this is also something leaders and coaches and let's say managers should have in mind. Um, so I think it goes through that. You know it when you would say when you answer the question, do I have a manager? Do I have a coach? Or also as a complementary answer, like, do I have a leader? And this is whenever you can answer those three, then you probably know.
And if I were to kind of go a bit deeper, would you say that you get to that answer quicker if you feel like you seem to be having a manager that is not a leader, or there is a leader but that cannot manage? How do you see it?
Well, it could be both
What would you take?
sides, right? Because you could have someone who might not be really a leader. Well, it's a manager, and well, things move forward in the day to day, but that's it. We are limited to the execution of things,
Mm-hmm.
which could be enough for some people. In my personal case, it wouldn't, but at least it makes the machine turn, right?
Mm-hmm.
You could also have someone who is a great leader, and it could be a very inspirational leader, but in the managing side could be a little bit trickier, right? With like time management or deadline management or a workload of the team, these kind of things. I think there are symptoms of the two of them, right? These two, and well, or even the third, the third one would be poor management and also not a leader. Well,
Yes.
that would be seen pretty fast.
Yes.
But the other two, I think it's not right away that we would get the attention of these things happening. We have to have a conscious review of things, right? And say there's a symptom here, and it's not that easy to get to those because sometimes we have another symptom which is not really the root cause. And then when you think about it, you go down to it and you say, okay, if I were to evaluate my manager, my line manager, then I ask those three things, like how is he as a manager, as a leader, and as a coach? And then this is kind of like the cornerstone to then take action, right? Whatever this could mean. But yeah, I think it has to be conscious and conscious feedback, like something that you really sit down and think about it and hopefully talk about it in your team or with your line manager.
Yeah, no, very good points. I mean, like you said, we can go very deep into this. But the only thing I would add to kind of what you're saying is that, at least for me, of course it goes with personality, right? Because I've managed different teams, different personalities. I've been on both sides, right? Of course. I mean, I had to. And the one thing that always sticks out for all the managers when I think about them today, with a glowing smile on my face, was they took personal interest in me. Every single one of them. There is not one manager that I think of today with kind of a fuzzy feeling of love and appreciation that doesn't know who Lerato is, my wife, that doesn't know who my son is. Not one. So, were they kind of the best way people to manage technically progress? Probably not. But were they able to identify talent and allow and create an environment for them to thrive and to grow and to give and to allow them to express their opinions? You bet you. So, like I said, you can go deep into this, but thanks for your answers, because I do think it's important. I mean, this is important for all of you guys who are watching this. You know, these are two professionals who are talking. They've got, all of this is very heavy and also very measured, because, you know, yeah, we don't want to, there's no need to call out names here. But it nonetheless very important to talk about them. Very important. These are topics that some of you are already facing them. If you are facing them, that's the reason why you should join MoloMolo and have people like Enrique and myself kind of, just discuss these things. So before we end, I want to kind of, the second part of the question. Now, in the event that you've recognized and you've kind of validated your feelings through other people, what are some of the what can you do about it? What are some of the steps? What are some of the key things in your mind that are crucial in not making now this a personal battle and it's just like heavy, bro? Like you wake up, you're thinking, oh snap, oh my word, it's Monday, it's review day, it's my one-on-one. What am I going to say? Like, you don't want to get to that point. And if you do get to that point, how do you kind of deflate and kind of make it a more workable environment? What would you say?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing, like something that you said, is like not to take it personal.
Mm-hmm.
We are all humans, right? And we have our good times and our not very good times, and it's about also about empathy. You don't really know also what that person is going through, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like what kind of pressure, professional, personal, she or he has. So it's also about this empathy of saying, hey, there's something that we could make better, but we are humans and we make mistakes. And it's about taking in a very human and touch perspective, right?
Mm-hmm.
That would be the first thing. And then about something more practical, it's, hey, let's go to action, right? An action starts with a candor feedback and a good conversation with a Colombian coffee or tea, whatever, something that works for both parties, where you can have honest, transparent conversation about how things are and how they could be better. And especially because you wouldn't like to, in the Monday you describe, and then the next Monday, and then the next Monday, keep things to yourself, and somehow they will get out, right? And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes if we wait too long, they don't come out in the right way. So it's better to have this constant feedback, evaluate things, and move forward and take action. I would say evaluate things, take action, move forward, and
Mm-hmm.
maybe it's not gonna work at the first time, but at least there's already a framework of empathy and good feedback. And this, I think, it's the very necessary things
Mm-hmm.
to move to a better place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, these are very wise words. Empathy, empathy. Yeah, the ability to see a situation from the other person's point of view. Yeah, it's a tough one when emotions and you are being blocked, so quote unquote, you are being sabotaged, quote unquote. It's very difficult and it takes that maturity, but also that support system, right, to help you have that frame of mind to say, hey, you're not crazy. This is a problem. It's not great, but maybe start doing X, Y, and Z. And like you said, and take that action to say, okay, let me get that confidence. And I think this is again, when it comes to also poorly managed conflict management, is such a big part of knowing who are you being managed by, and how do they handle conflict and misunderstanding. Enrique, this has been amazing. This has been really, really fun. I do feel like we will definitely have you on again, my friend. You have a lot of things that are pertinent for students and graduates and undergrads to hear from you. So I want to thank you. Thanks again for coming on. Just as a reminder for all of you who kind of want to participate in the conversations, want to participate in kind of reaching out to Enrique through the MoloMolo community on WhatsApp, just there will be a link in the description of the video for you to be able to use the invite link to appear. There's different tiers in terms of coaching groups in that community where you can start joining and having the conversation with different people. I mean, we have experts of 35 years experience, right? I mean, these are people who literally don't need to be there. Like they have much more better things to do, but they do care. They do care about kind of the message that MoloMolo is trying to bring. They do care about you guys, those who are watching and feeling like you need help, and they want to help literally free of charge, just giving their time and their opinion. So there will be a link for any of you who's interested in joining. Enrique, once again, thanks, my friend. This was amazing to have you on, and so I will let you I will let you know what happens next. But until then, thank you.
Thank you, Polan. I'm really happy that this happened, and I'll be super happy to come again. I know I'm a big fan of MoloMolo and what you're doing here. Thank you very much for the invitation.
Okay, thanks, dude.